What's up guys, it's Avery here. There are a number of ways that you can purchase real estate investments using no money. And in fact, this is how a majority of real estate investors purchase their buildings and finance them using other people's money. It would take you a significantly longer amount of time to purchase all of your buildings using all of your own money. And not only does purchasing buildings using other people's money allow you to scale quickly, but it allows you to earn those people money in the process. Before we get into the video and talk about a number of ways that you can purchase real estate with no money or using other people's money, if this is your first time on the channel or if you're returning and you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so and hit that notification bell if you're interested in learning more about real estate investing or things that you can do with your money in order to build your wealth. And also drop me a like and a comment below. A big question in the real estate investing community is, how do I get started with no money and having bad credit? Short answer for me is you don't. Even if you're using other people's money and some of these techniques that I'm going to talk about in this video, you're still going to have to bridge the gap sometimes. There are going to be some deposits or some money that you're going to have to put forward during the due diligence or closing period. There isn't always going to be those funds available, and you're going to have to put some of your money towards it. Even if you eventually pay yourself back, you'll need to have a little bit of cash on hand in order to get going. I'm not telling you that you can't just use some of these no money down techniques or other people's money in order to purchase real estate. I don't want you to walk away from the video thinking that's all you need to know and it's gonna work out just perfectly. I want you to at least smash the like button before you walk away from the video. Now that that disclaimer's out of the way and you have smashed the like button and you know that there are some risks associated with any of these techniques, let's get into it. So the first way that you can use other people's money would be using something called private money. Private money means that you have a relationship with someone who wants to invest in your project, in your building, and potentially in you because they believe in you as a deal provider, as a real estate investor, and they know that you've been successful and that you can make them a return as well. In this scenario, the private money lender could potentially be someone who has a lot of funds but don't have the knowledge, the ability, the skill, or the time to take on these projects that you're willing to do. And that individual who is lending you this money is going to act as the bank. They're going to give you money in exchange for a return. Private money is really good because you have a relationship with this person and they can understand that you can make them a lot of money while investing in real estate. And the best part of it is you can invest in real estate with this relationship of this person that you have, earn yourself money, and earn them money as well. And if you do a good job for them, they'll continue investing in real estate with you and keep giving you money so that you can purchase more and more real estate together. Often when people are using private money, they aren't using it for the entirety of the purchase. Unless this is a $60,000 to $100,000 purchase and that person has those funds available, as well as some of the construction costs. Typically in a more expensive market like Boston, where I live myself, people are using private money to fund that down payment and then funding the rest of the 80 to 75% of the purchase price using bank financing. And in my market, a 25 to 20% down payment is going to be somewhere in the range of $150,000 to $250,000. Now you have to save up all of that money each time you're going to attempt to buy a house. It's going to be a lot of money. So if you can create these relationships with people who have private money and offer them a return, then it's going to go a lot better for you, a lot more smoothly, and allow you to focus on finding deals rather than figuring out where am I going to get that money. Another option where you can use absolutely no money, and this is probably the most risky option, would be hard money. Now the difference between private money and hard money is that hard money comes from an institutional lender. So this person offering you hard money isn't just going to be that friend, potentially that doctor that you know well who has a lot of funds but they don't have the time. This is going to be someone similar to a bank, except they're going to have a lot of different terms and they're not going to worry so much about your current asset situation, your current income situation, your debt to income like a bank would. They're just going to be concerned if you can pay that money back based on how the deal looks. Hard money looks really good in terms of an offer because it allows you to offer in full cash. That hard money loan is going to be different than the bank financing because when you have bank financing, there are going to be a lot more hoops to go through, an appraisal, they're going to have to do a lot of background checks on your income. But with that hard money, they're going to give you the money very quickly and allow you to close very quickly, so it's more enticing for the seller to give you the building. The bad thing about hard money is that the interest rates are extremely high. You're going to have about a 10 to 12% interest rate, which is why they're giving you that money in such a quick period of time. They're not so worried about your personal income situation. They're more worried about if you can actually make those payments and make a return quickly. And typically these hard money loans will only last for 6 to 12 months. So there is that time constraint on you having to figure out the deal, get the rehab done, and get them that money back so that you can use that deal and start making money for you after having paid off all of your debt. And typically people will use a hard money loan when they're buying a fix and flip. So if you go in, buy the house, there's a lot of rehab. They are giving you in this hard money loan all of the money for the purchase price as well as the construction costs. You can use all of that money, fix the building up, sell it, and hopefully you have enough money once the deal is done to pay the hard money lender off, as well as have some profit for yourself so that you can use that money for other investments. If you're planning on using hard money, know that this is the riskiest debt that you could take on. If something goes wrong with your project, you still owe them money and it is accruing a high amount of interest, and you'll also owe the full amount of money at the end. A lot of times investors, when they're newer or don't have a good understanding of how long a renovation will take, they'll have to pay that hard money loan off with a different hard money loan and start from scratch, and he'll have lost some money on that specific deal. So please take into account how long it actually takes for the rehab, the interest rates that you're getting on these loans, and the risks associated with this hard money. Another thing that you can do is a syndication, where you're the deal operator and you're providing a deal to various investors and you're pooling that investor's money in order to purchase a building. And this can be as small as a single family to a 4-unit residential home, or it could be hundreds of units in an apartment building or a commercial space. And what that's going to do is you're going to get that money from those people in exchange for a small amount of equity in the building, and you're going to be paying the monthly cash flow. And because you're pooling all of this money from other investors, you're getting a small amount of equity in the building as well, since you're the one handling finding the deal, making sure that the property is well managed, making sure that the renovations are going as planned, and that the building is fully leased up so that you can pay everyone back what they deserve for giving you all of that money in the first place. Now, a syndication can come with some difficulties and intricacies that you have to work out, and because you're selling a security to these people, you need to have an SEC lawyer involved. So there's a lot more information that I'm not going to get into this video. But if you want me to do a video on that, drop it in the comments below and I'm happy to talk more about it. Another thing that you can do in order to put no money down or use other people's money would be seller financing. Typically the way this works is the seller is going to be funding a majority or some of the down payment for you. And the way they get these funds is not out of their own pocket, it's through the sale of the home, and you're also using bank financing, and they take some of that money from the bank and then put it towards your down payment. And now you don't just have two loans, you'll have the loan with the seller and you're paying them potentially interest-only payments, and there could be a balloon payment at the end of that 5 to 10 years because they want some of that money later on. And then you're also paying the bank. So if you're going to be going the seller financing option, make sure that the cash flow from the building will cover you paying the seller as well as the bank. But this is a really great option because it allows you to put really little money or no money down and utilize the seller, who will still be getting monthly cash flow from that building, and they don't have to have the hassle of worrying about managing tenants or managing the building. They're just going to get that monthly cash flow from you, who will be doing all of the work. Seller financing can be a really awesome option, but it can be difficult to pull off, especially in an expensive or a competitive market. A seller may not want to take this seller financing option from you because they could just wait for the next person who will offer them a full cash offer so they can get all of their money for their investment right away, rather than getting that monthly cash flow, that delayed money from you over a longer period of time. Another way that you could do this would be using bank financing. And I don't just mean you putting 20% down, 25% down, and having the rest be paid for by the bank, but you could access the equity in your home through a home equity line of credit or using a cash out refinance. Now, yes, you created this equity in your building, but if you had another rental that had principal pay down from the tenants and it increased in cash flow, increased in value, and you get this money from the bank from your hard work of already owning a rental, it is using other people's money because the bank is giving you money hedged against your current property that you can then go use for a different property and buy more real estate that way. This way, you don't have to save up your own money to put towards your real estate investments. You can just take from your other buildings and buy more buildings that way. Two other options that you can use for bank financing that allow you to get in at 0% down would be using a VA loan or a USDA loan. And I'm not going to get into those, but feel free to drop in the comments below if you want me to talk about them. And it's not every building that can qualify for those type of loans, and it's not every person that can qualify for those type of loans. As well, those have to be owner-occupied properties, so there are some issues involved with if you want to use those for your investment in order to put no money down. And the last option that I'm going to talk about is being a deal finder for other investors. And there are a couple of ways that you can do this. One, and the most common way that people talk about, would be a wholesaler. So a wholesaler, you will go out, find properties, do the door knocking, do the cold calling, and find those properties and give them to other investors. So say you can find a property that's $200,000, but you get it under contract for $170,000, and then you sell it before all of the things are happening, before you've actually closed on the property, to a different investor for $185,000. So now that investor is still getting that property at a discount, but you've also made some money on the sale. Another thing that you can do when leaning on other more experienced investors is start cold calling for them. And in this scenario, don't just be the deal finder, the person who wholesales the building to them, but you can ask for a small stake of equity in their building. And when you have that small stake of equity in their building because you found the deal for them, there is that free education they can teach you about absolutely everything going on with the building. And you not only get some equity stake in the building, but you get to learn how to actually make those investments work, how to handle a renovation, how to use bank financing, other people's money, and some of these other techniques that I've talked about that more experienced investor will know, and you can have a hands-on education with how to do that stuff. Those are all the ways that I have for you today, and if you notice, all of these options in order to buy real estate with no money down and other people's money take a lot of relationships. This is gonna be the most important thing when you're investing in real estate, is networking and creating relationships. You're not gonna be able to get that private money without having that relationship with that person already, and you're not gonna be able to get that hard money without knowing a hard money lender. You're not gonna be able to pool money together if you don't know a bunch of people who are willing to invest in that building and invest in you. And another really important thing is credibility. A person isn't gonna wanna give you money, and they're not gonna wanna invest in you if you haven't shown that you can do this before. Maybe you're a really good salesman and you're gonna get people to give you money without having any experience before, but I think it's really important to build up your credibility and show that you know what you're doing, so when those people give you money, they know that they can make a return off of your hard work and your knowledge and your deal finding abilities. So I think the best way to get started with those relationship buildings and credibility would be through house hacking, and this is something that I talk a lot about on my channel, and if you're unfamiliar with that, check it out up here or in the description below. But once you're buying your first building for really low money down using this house hacking technique, you're gonna find a lot of relationships, an agent, a lender. You're gonna start talking to other people who are doing the same thing. And you're also building some credibility for yourself. You're gonna have that experience of management, buying a property, understanding the process, knowing what's going on with real estate investing. So doing that first will really help you out. And again, you don't have to do that first, but I think it's a great option to start before you start using some of these no money down or other people's money techniques that I talked about in the video. I hope that video gave you some ideas on some techniques that you could use, and I hope it gave you some knowledge about the fact that there are a ton of creative ways to finance real estate investments. Drop a comment below if you're interested in me talking a little bit deeper about any of the topics, or if there are some topics that I didn't cover. Thanks again for watching, and hope to see you guys next time.